I can't see nothing. Ah, I can see a little better now. Hello, everybody in the chat room. Good evening. It's cold in Chicago and snowy.
Not as cold as it's going to be next week.
Snowy.
High of -4 next Wednesday.
The high is -4.
The high is -4 next Wednesday.
That's cold.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. It's cold here and it's icky. And I got stuck in the driveway this morning.
Stuck in the driveway.
He had to come and help shovel me out because I got stuck in the driveway.
You're sitting and spinning.
No, what's happened was I backed up and I slid as I backed up because my driveway's kind of on a slope and it just slid right into the bank. And, the bank and just didn't go anywhere.
Ooh, yeah.
We got about 3 inches at night, and I'm like, "Oh, I can get out of this. I don't need to shovel. I'll shovel when I get home." I did. I couldn't get out of it. I tried. I made the effort.
You should have let me go first with my all-wheel drive, and then you could have followed in my tracks.
I don't miss shoveling snow. That's one thing for sure.
I know. All right. It is 8:28. There we go. 1 second, and then I will start the show here. As long as I have 1 minute.
Refresh on the live page here because it wasn't showing live on my tablet.
Okay. Everybody ready? Is everybody ready?
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, let me push play on this. And we are recording. Hooray. And okay, here we go. All right. 3, 2, 1.
You wanna know how to find it. Seek it out when they hide it. You know it's in the bag when it's an easy grab. Come on, take a chance now. So go, geocache. And if you need help, we're right there in a flash. If you got a question, just call in and ask. I cover the stash on the Geocaching Podcast. The Geocaching Podcast.
Welcome, everyone. It's cold here. It is Wednesday. It is 8:30, which means that it is once again time for the Geocaching Podcast. My name is Scott Burks. We have Short in It manning the phones. And please welcome my co-host to my virtual left, Jazz 427.
Howdy, y'all. Grab your coats. It's about to get chilly.
Chilly it is. Tonight's episode is 547, recorded live on January 23, 2019, and that is Winter Caching Tips. The phone lines are open, so give us a call, 808-468-7924. That is 808-GOT-SWAG. But dear Chad, it's cold here in Chicago, man.
It's cold, but do we got any new patrons?
It's cold and it's snowy here in Chicago, and I'm not happy about it. But you know what warms my heart? Patreon warms my heart. That's what it is. Let's talk Patreon. It costs a lot of money, guys, to make this podcast work. We really could use your help. Thanks to all our subscribers and our new subscriber, Bingo the Bounty Hunter out of Hampshire, UK. Bingo the Bounty Hunter said, I love this podcast. I'm going to throw him a little money, a little poundage, if you will. Hey, now. A little poundage he threw us.
A few pence.
To make our cold winter nights a little bit warmer. So Bingo the Bounty Hunter, much appreciated, sir. Guys, please give anything you can. That's patreon.com/the Geocaching Podcast. Obviously, Inner Circle. I don't know how I stress this to you guys. Inner Circle, more stuff, more videos, more audio, lots of fun stuff on the other side. You know, you get path tags, you get stickers, a whole 9 yards. You guys know the drill. patreon.com/the Geocaching Podcast. Tier starting as low as $3. Chad.
Yes, tonight's show is brought to you by Cachly. Cachly is an advanced geocaching app for iOS. It features powerful online and offline features, including filtered searches, offline maps, offline saving of caches. Cachly has hundreds of advanced features that will make your geocaching experience just that much better. Get more info at cachly.com. That's CACHLY.com.
And tonight we are also sponsored by Logwork. Logwork is the creators of the fantastic logbook made with genuine write-in-the-rain paper. The logbook's designed for the micro-containers of the present and future, geared towards the hider who would rather go caching than do cache maintenance. Find them at logwork.com, LOGWERK.com.
It's also brought to you by FTF Geocacher Magazine. FTF Geocacher is the magazine for geocachers written by geocachers. With 6 issues a year, FTF offers practical advice, hints and tips, cacher bios and milestones, geocaching events, trail tales, and all things geo-related. Find them at ftfgeocacher.com. That's FTF GEOCACHER.com.
As always, you can find the links to all our sponsors in our show notes. And if you visit them and purchase their stuff, please tell them we sent you. It helps us and makes them feel like they're spending their money wisely. So we'd appreciate that. Where am I going back over to here? In the news, Chad. The news.
The news.
Where's my news thing? Do I have a news thing? I do have a news tag. Hold on. There we go. Chad, this week, Joshua, the geocaching vlogger. Everybody loves Joshua.
He's in the chat room.
He's like the Mr. Rogers of geocaching. He decided that he gave us a little shout out, said, hey, this is my plan for HQ Appreciation Week. If you could help me out, I'll send it to all the vloggers and the podcasters and all that. And we said absolutely. And I was going to give a whole big thing on the show, but I'm like, you know what? Why should I do it when this is a call-in talk show? I'm going to have my man Joshua. Joshua, are you there, sir?
Okay, so if I'm the Mr. Rogers of geocaching, what does that make you?
I don't know, sir.
I think you're like the Andrew Dice Clay, or maybe
in my youth. In my youth, come on, in my youth. As Mark Dowding always says, like I've become corporate. I'm I'm a suit and tie guy now. I'm a corporate guy now.
Oh, hello, Geocaching Podcast. How are you all doing tonight?
Very well, sir. How are you?
I'm good. I'm cold. I'm just as cold as you are up here in the Northland.
Yeah, I believe it. Absolutely. You're from Minnesota. You're probably colder than us. How much snow did you get? Did you get as much as we did?
No, we didn't. We don't have hardly any snow.
Oh man, we
only have like 3 inches on the ground.
We got dumped on. So
yeah, I heard that.
So you came up with this genius idea, a beautiful idea.
Mm-hmm.
That you let us, you gave us all a sneak peek about all us vloggers and podcasters and all that. And it's a beautiful thing. And please, my show is yours. The floor is yours to talk about it and do what you need to do. Please go ahead.
Well, yeah, so I've been a geocacher for, it's coming on 11 years now. And, as your geocacher in the world, geocaching.com, they are the listing site. They are the place. They're the engine that keeps our game going. And, often you hear so many complaints and so many different thoughts about, the
not from us.
That all happen. No, never in this podcast. And so I was out in Seattle this fall, and just every time I have interactions with the good people at geocaching.com, I know that their heart is in it to really make people's lives better through this game, and they do it for the players, and I really believe that. And so I was also listening this fall to Geocaching in the Northwest podcast, and they had Brian Ross on there, and they had. He had said that they had won a tech award in Seattle for I don't know what award it was, and he said something that was really interesting. He said, "You know what? Those kind of awards are great, but the pat on the back that we really appreciate is from the geocaching players themselves." Mm-hmm. So I thought, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna create a holiday, and that's Geocaching Appreciation Week. So yeah, the goal is this week to send a snail mail letter, an email, social media post, and just express our gratitude to the good people out of Seattle that keep our game going.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and even though we give them a lot of crap, we still love the game, or we wouldn't be here.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
And
totally.
Have you heard anything from them? Showering you? Have we been showering them? I've been showering. I mean, I've gotten likes from Brian Roth and from Geocaching on anything I ever said about them. So they are listening. They are indeed listening.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think they're totally feeling the love. I got a call from Brian Roth just saying that it was some of the best, one of the best phone calls he's had in a long time. Yeah, they're feeling the love. They're feeling the appreciation. And yeah, I just think it's a really great thing. And it's also amazing that when, I think I contacted all of the influencers, at least the English-speaking influencers, to join me in this, and everybody has been on board. And so that's been really cool.
Yeah, that's great. No, and no, I was absolutely, I jumped in. I said, absolutely, of course. Well, here at the podcast will help. And in our show notes, guys, if you want to send them something, whether it be an email or a snail mail, I guess Josh was trying to push snail mail, sending them actually packages, is what Joshua's been.
Well, yeah. You know what it's like when you get a thank you note from somebody. It's like, wow, they actually spent some time and effort to, find a stamp.
Dude, everybody likes mail, of course, right? But that's hard enough. Everybody likes mail. Come on, it's mail.
I know, right?
Yeah. When it's not a bill, how excited are you when it's not a bill?
Right. No kidding.
But
whatever you can do,
Yeah, guys. In our show notes, we have got their address, and we've got a link to their contact form right on our show notes if you want to see that. And also, if you do thank them on social media of any kind, just hashtag iHeart, and that's HEART GCHQ. That's what. And are we going to do this every year, Josh? Go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying, I was looking in the chat, and Bounce is in the chat, who lives in Seattle. Incredible hider, by the way, Bounce. He just said he's going to stop by HQ tomorrow and take a video to send to me of just their reaction to Geocaching Appreciation Week. So how cool is that?
Awesome.
Thank you, Bounce.
That's a show right there for you, Joshua. We're done. Look at that. All you got to do is edit that.
There you go.
It's a show. And hey, again, I want to thank you personally. I caught Joshua wearing a Geocaching Podcast T-shirt in one of his videos. Thank you, sir, so much for that. By the way, thank you for the free
gosh, it's such a cozy shirt. I got the premium. I got the premium T-shirt too. So
that Tri-Blend guy.
No, he went. Did you go the Tri-Blend, or did you go like the full I
think the Tri-Blend was the premium one. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it comfy?
Yeah, I got the premium one.
How's it fit?
Yeah.
How's it fit?
Fits great.
Good.
Fits great.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah, repping the pod.
Hey, man, hashtag rep the pod, man. Appreciate that.
Yep, I made 3 videos in San Antonio this weekend, and I was wearing it at least one of the days. So.
Thank you, sir. Mucho appreciado on that.
Repping the pod.
I appreciate it. Hashtag rep the pod. All right, sir. I always appreciate the call. I love what you did. One more question. I'll let you go. Are you going to do this every year? Is this going to be the week thing, or is this a one-time gig here? This iHeart GC headquarters.
Let's just see how it goes. I guess let's do a little evaluation after the week's over, and we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
Do a little post-mortem, see how it worked out, see what kind of numbers you got.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Great.
All right, sir. Always a pleasure to hear from you. Always a pleasure, sir.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for what you do on this podcast. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, he's Joshua, the Geocaching blogger. Love Joshua. All right. We've got some email here, Chad, as well, sir.
You got mail.
Yay! I got mail. Yay!
Yay! Okay, mail. We've got some mail here. Sorry, guys, this is taking so long to get through here. This is from Geek Boy from Illinois, an old friend of the Geocaching Podcast. He was on this show before me, before Chad, before Jesse, before all of us. Geek Boy was on this show. A geocaching community has recently suffered a loss. On Tuesday, January 15th, Josh from the caching team, Two Old Farts.
John.
John? I'm sorry. You're right. I apologize so much. Sorry, John. Two Old Farts, or the Rock Hunters, passed away. He and his wife cached together and were well known in the terra caching communities, as well as the benchmarking communities. Thankfully, we did not lose him to an accident while enjoying any of his beloved hobbies. He really enjoyed benchmarking, and one time he recovered a benchmark that had not been found in several decades. Wow. He will be missed, and I am proud to have known him from Geek Boy. Yeah, it's always sad when a cacher passes, man. It seems to be happening a lot lately, that people at cachers have been I've been hearing it more and more of cachers who've been going, sadly. This is from Enigma 360. Says, started listening to your podcast again. Oh, thank you so much, sir. Appreciate that. How many DNFs post would you allow before you do maintenance? That's a good question. Chad, what do you think?
I think that really depends upon how many finds the cacher has and how difficult the cache is to hide. You know, if it's or to find an easy cache, you know, I'm going to be out there probably on the first one or two. Mm-hmm. But some of my harder ones where newbies, they've just never experienced that type of a cache. I'm not going to bother to go out there anymore because it's like, I know the thing is there.
Right.
Yeah, I know it's there. It's like someone who has 1,000 finds, I go look for it. They don't find it. Then I start to get worried.
Sure.
But you know, an LPC, yeah, I might go check on it after the first or second one if the person has 50 plus finds.
Sure. Jesse, anything to add?
No, I pretty much have the same criteria. If it's, you know, an LPC and the person has less than 50 finds as DNF, it's probably there. Right. If it's a tougher hide, you know, probably 2 or 3, but depending on the experience. If it's a cacher that I know there's no way they should have DNF'd it, it's probably not there, and I'll go check it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It also depends. Obviously, to me, mostly it's the hide. Like I know I've got, you know, that 7th inning stretch, just so you know, that cache.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Total FU hide, and it gets DNF 5-6 times before I'm like, fine, I'll go look. I'm like, there it is, you know, and you know, of course, it's still there. But certain caches, yeah, I won't even, like that one, I won't bother, especially if it's somebody with like 5 finds, you know. Mm-hmm. Then I know, like, come on, and you know it's still there. So yeah, so to answer your question, Enigma, how many DNF posts? It really kind of depends. You kind of have to judge. I would say look at the hiders, how many finds they have, how experienced are they, how hard is your hide before you decide, you know, and how close is it to you. If it's a 3-mile hike in the woods, you might, you know, you might want to wait for a couple. I don't know. Do you wait for a couple of DNFs? I mean, I personally, if there's 3 DNFs on a cache in the woods, Jesse, we usually ignore it. We don't usually go for it, do we?
Yeah, it depends. It really just depends. And it also depends if we, as a finder looking, you know, for a cache that maybe has a couple of DNFs on it, I may, if it's a, you know, a hider that I know, I may reach out and say, hey, I'm going to be near this, you know, do you want me to have a container in case it's not there? And maybe call that person from the field and,
sure,
you know, describe what I see. And if it's missing, I would replace it for them. So,
but you know what my favorite thing is?
What is your favorite?
My favorite thing?
Oh, I know.
What is it?
Community maintenance.
No.
Oh, not that? No, what's your...
My favorite thing is finding a cache that's been DNF like 4 times.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love doing that.
Everything in the world.
And the thing that I get embarrassed about is I will DNF a cache, and then the next day a person with 3 finds goes and finds the thing. It's like I should have been able to trip over the thing.
Yeah.
One more email here. This is from Firefighter Skippy, who's a Patreon member. Thank you, Firefighter. Thank you for becoming a patron. Thanks for bringing the show back. I tune in live when I can and listen at a later time when I cannot. I'm wondering if you know the date for the 2019 APE event. I'm very interested in attending the event and want to try to make travel plans, but I'm unable to find any info about the event. Perhaps you or one of your listeners know and can share a GC number. Thanks, Firefighter Skippy. Firefighter, for the last 3 years, it's been the 3rd week of August. I know that fact, and so I don't see why they would suddenly change that.
Third weekend.
Third weekend, excuse me. So my assumption is that it'll be the third weekend in August. I think that's I don't know, 16th, I think, 16th, 17th, 18th, I think. I did some research and I checked, and there is not a GC page yet that I could find either. I don't think they've created a page yet, which is surprising because all the other pages were made in like December. So it should be being made very soon. I don't know if anyone in the chat room has seen anything or heard anything, but I would assume that I would assume it's going to be the third week of August, third weekend of August again. Would be my assumption.
Yeah,
which has
I'm
always been our
trying to
problem.
see if I can't find anything out there.
Jesse and I go to West Bend the second week of August. That's always been the problem. Chad, I got dead air.
Yeah, nothing out there
That's
right
right.
now. So I was just pulling up the map to see if there was anything out there on the map yet. Which
No,
there's not.
I checked. I didn't see anything. No, nothing. I did some digging too. I didn't find anything. That's why I did my assumption. Also, from the chat room, Wheels 00 says August 17th is also International Geocaching Day. So, cheers to that. Don't we get a thing for that?
Souvenir.
A souvenir?
Yeah.
We better.
Right?
I know they announced all the souvenirs for 2019. I don't remember specifically if that one was on there or not.
It's International Geocaching Day. Not
I don't know.
Geocaching, not geocaching.
Geocache.
International Geocaching Day would be pretty cool.
Yeah. There needs to be an International
We're gonna have a little talk with
Geocaching Day
Brian Roth about
souvenir.
getting a Geocaching Day souvenir. How
Yeah, we need a
fantastic.
souvenir for that.
If Sonny and Sandy can get a worldwide flash mob freaking thing, can I get a geocache?
Now you can't do that anymore, though. There is no worldwide flash mob souvenir anymore.
No, it's
Mhm.
gone.
No, it's gone.
All right, let's go to the show. All right, let's start the show, guys. Winter caching, guys. We are, well, not Chad. Chad's like 70 degrees. We here in the Midwest, we are like knee deep in snow and cold and just brutal winter. With the joy of being in January and February right on our heels. But there is some good things about winter caching. So let's talk about winter caching. And anybody in the chat room, anybody listening to my voice, you got something to add to this, please give us a call, 808-GOT-SWAG, 808-468-7924. Give us a call. We can talk about it. What is so special about winter caching? Let's talk about what's special about it before we get into it. One of the things I love about living in the Midwest is I get to see the seasons change. I get to see fall and winter and spring, which is amazing. You know, it's caching is an entirely different game in the wintertime. And I've always said this. This has always been my philosophy. It is a very, very different game when there is cold and snow involved. DTs go up and hides get a lot harder, especially ones on the ground. Some hides get easier. You know, the ones that are a bison in a tree gets a lot easier in the wintertime than it does in the winter, in the summertime. So the game takes a whole, it virtually flips itself on its back. But that's one of the great things about winter caching. Chad, what do you like about winter caching?
So it kind of flip-flop that from when living in Houston, so the undergrowth actually has died off, making caching access a lot easier.
Sure.
So if you don't live in a snowy area, maybe you live in an area where everything has died off, the leaves have started falling, or the undergrowth has died off, making access actually just might bit easier.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. You're not tripping as much over all that undergrowth crap.
And you're not slicing your legs to death with the prickly vines and
Well,
stuff.
dude, put some pants on. Stop wearing shorts.
If you live in Houston, you got to wear shorts, dude.
Jesse Brown, what about you?
My favorite part of winter caching is walking through the woods after freshly fallen snow.
Oh.
That is my absolute favorite. The visual, the snow, the trees, the quiet. It's like the loudest quiet that you've ever heard, and it's amazing.
Sure.
That is my absolute favorite.
The crunch of snow underneath.
That too.
Geocaching Day. I'll tell a story, real quick story. Geocaching Day 2009. I wanted to go for 100 caches in a day, which is funny. Got to remember the time here. Now it's easy to do. Now we get 100 caches on Geocaching Day every year. In 2009, it was a little more difficult. And my 100th cache was a FTF in the middle of Busty Woods. I had to hike into the woods by myself at 10 o'clock at night on Christmas Day, or Christmas Day night, as it was. And it had been snowing all day. So I was in the middle of the woods by myself, snow everywhere. It was perfectly white. It was so white, I did not even need my flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
That's and it amazed me. I literally had my flashlight in my pocket walking to this cache because I could literally see everything. Like it was almost daytime out there. It was
your face is getting a sunburn.
I mean, it was beautiful, and I was by I couldn't even appreciate it with anybody. I was literally by myself, And but I will never forget that because it was just such an amazing thing to see by yourself in the middle of the woods, with snow falling and it's daytime.
Yeah.
If it's 10 o'clock.
Especially if there's no clouds and the moon is out, then it's even brighter.
It was a
full
beautiful
moon.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the things that always stuck with me, and one of the most amazing things about winter caching. And again, one of mine's is the woods look spectacular after a snowfall. After a snowfall. I mean, and they absolutely do. And one of the other things I love about winter caching is that I get to wear a coat. And when I get to wear a coat, that means I have more pockets. I always love to have pockets. It's always such a huge adjustment to me when spring comes and I don't have to wear a coat anymore, because I'm so used to having at least 2 extra pockets, and suddenly I have none. Depending on the shorts I'm wearing. So more clothing means more pockets, which I greatly appreciate. What about you, Chad?
Well, yeah, I guess, you may even need a jacket out here or in Houston. But most importantly for me is snakes are dormant. Yay!
For that matter.
It's like not having to worry about snakes. That is an awesome thing.
Where do they go? They just hibernate? Where are the snakes in the winter?
They're cold-blooded, so when it gets cold, they don't move around very much. They basically hibernate.
Really? Yeah, and no ticks, and no spiders for that matter.
And no mosquitoes.
No mosquitoes, yes. But walking through spider webs, that's always a plus. Jesse, any other for you?
I love that winter can make that really tough 5-5 island cache a 1-1 walk up.
Yes, it can.
I love waiting for the freeze to happen and being able to walk out to those island caches.
Yes. Even better, what we do is you walk out to the 5-5 island cache, drop a cache, and then wait till spring, and then push it live. So you make everybody else have to
devious.
Yes, right. That's the cool.
We have a few like that.
Yes, we do. Let's talk winter geocaching preparation for finding and hiding a cache. Chad, why don't you start? Preparation for finding and hiding.
Preparation for hiding and finding. My notes were in the wrong area here. I think they are. I guess preparation for finding. So things like, you already said the island cache that's out there, but plows can make the simple LPCs a real challenge.
Yes, they can. That literally just happened to us last weekend. It was really, really cold here, and we just had a massive snow. We got probably a foot or so at least.
Yeah.
And so we had a little bit of time between basketball games. So I was like, Scott, let's go grab. There's a couple of parking grabs. It looks like they're in the middle of parking lots. They don't normally plow the snow from the parking lot to the middle of the parking lots. We should be good. So we drove over to where they were. They were two pretty close to each other. Nope, couldn't get to either one of them. They had plowed all of the snow up onto those two skirts.
You couldn't even shovel them out.
No.
It would be an all-day event to shovel the thing. I mean, it was a lot of snow.
I mean, the only time I went for an LPC during the winter was on the way back from a ski trip, and about an hour and a half away, and went into the parking lot to grab something from the store, and it's like, okay, I'm going to get this LPC that's in here. It's like, no, it was plowed under.
Yeah,
so I was like, but yeah, it reminds me of the parking lots back home in Indiana during the winter.
So if you do live in the Midwest or someplace where it does snow, make sure you can, or anywhere actually, consider the seasons and how they will interact with your geocache and the hide. I.e., if you put it, if it's a red bison and you got it in this tree, but when it comes wintertime, when there's no leaves, it is fully exposed to the elements and muggles and everybody. You might want to make sure, think about it before you hide it. Like, okay, how is this going to look in the winter, or how is this going to look in the summer, and and adjust accordingly. Also, you got to pay attention to snow and ice issues and flooding issues.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to, look at trees. See if there's a ring near the bottom of them. Look at, all that.
We were talking about changing DT ratings
yes.
on a couple shows ago and stuff. And it was like, one of the reasons I changed the DT rating is I hid the cache in the middle of winter in Houston, and it was a lot easier to trek out to that cache than what it was just a couple months later when spring came around.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, water is a good point, Scott. I mean, I've come across caches that are hidden like in the roots of trees right next to a creek, and if a flood comes through, it washes that cache right away. That'll be gone.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Absolutely. And especially and foliage disappearing, all disappearing or getting thin. All that is something to pay attention to, because it does matter, and it will. If you see your cache getting muggled all the time, that could be one of the reasons why. Jesse, what about you?
As far as hiding, think about your container. If you're in an area that gets really, really cold, like it does here, think about that plastic, like Pico tubes or other containers made out of that same plastic. Generally are not a good idea around here, just because it gets so cold that it actually cracks and it gets brittle and just crumbles right apart. So just keep that in mind. Make sure that your container will withstand the weather. What I'm saying.
And same thing in Texas too, right, Chad? Won't those things melt really easy? Don't those things
I never really had much experience with them melting. The cheaper plastic, like the Gladware type of stuff, those would heat cycle, so they'd get hot in the summer, and then when the winter comes around, they cool down and they just fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, I know that. Obviously, my notes here say know how to hide your geocache. Heavy snow and ice can trap a geocache. Move them upwards as an option. Yeah. So when you're hiding a cache, like I say, maybe if you put it in the crotch of a tree, pay attention. Does water get in there? Because if water gets in there, ice gets in there. And how many times have I chipped a cache over the crotch of a tree? So, oh god, and how many caches I've actually mistakenly broken because I tried to get it out of a tree. So try and pay attention to that, where you put it in terms of like a crotch of a tree or something along those lines. Make sure that water stays out of that as much as possible. Chad, you?
So one of the things that I was thinking is the ability to access caches that are higher up because of either the snowfall or even even those lamppost caches that aren't skirt lifters. So it might make it a little bit easier to access some of those on occasion.
Sure. We've used the snow as a ladder. Actually, put a step stool on top of the snow to reach a cache on top of a bus stop.
We did, yes. We have a picture of that. Yes, awesome. Literally, yeah. Use the snow as a ladder. Absolutely, yes. Jesse, what about you?
Going back to what you were saying about containers freezing, the logs also freeze, and so if I'm out finding caches in the winter, I always tend to I do in the summer anyway, but especially in the winter, I always have extra logs with me. If you're able to get the container open and the log that you find inside is frozen solid, you're not going to be able to sign it. And if you're in the woods, you're not going to be able to take it back to your car and dry it out and put it back. So just carry extra logs with you to throw in there.
Wow. Well, these are some things that I really didn't think about. So those wet logs from the summertime turned into frozen logs in the wintertime.
Sure.
That just happened to us. That's recently happened to us, where Jesse, she had a cache she couldn't sign.
Yep.
This is literally frozen.
It was actually a film can, and I opened the film can, and it was a solid block of ice inside with like a marble and some other little figure and a log frozen inside this ice cube.
Awesome.
Yeah. uh, disable a geocache is an option, although but not really the best option. But you'd have to talk to your reviewer about that. But if you know that, hey, this is really not available in the winter, or even for like a month and a half, your reviewer might let you disable it for a little while. Or obviously, and obviously use a winter attribute if that's the case. If or especially with a not winter friendly.
Not winter accessible. So yeah, if you know it's at the end of a parking lot that always gets plowed, that end gets plowed up on top of it every year. Unless you're willing to pay a bunch of kids to dig some snow tunnels, forget about it.
That's a really useful attribute to use if it's used properly, even as a finder. That if you're in the woods and you're looking and you see the not available in the winter, not winter friendly, it's probably down low. Or if it is available in the winter, to look up higher so it won't be snow covered.
Exactly. Right. It does help. That's helped us before. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Chad, you got another one? Or are you?
I'm not that much of a true winter cacher. I mean, I cache during quote unquote the winter, but I don't go into snowy areas to cache.
Winter caching is just snow. It's not just snow.
I know it's not just snow, but that's a lot of what we think about the frozen. So I try to stay out of the frozen period.
What about you, Jesse? You have anything else on your list?
A couple others. Remember that if you're out walking in the snow, it is exhausting. That half a mile hike down the trail in the summer is a piece of cake. But if there's snow on the ground, even if you have snowshoes, or especially if you have snowshoes, it is very, very tiring. So don't set out for a 5-mile hike unless you can do it. And then the other thing is, kind of along the same lines, follow the footprints. How many times have we used that take you right to the cache?
Sure.
We've actually brute forced caches that way.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, and then just one other thing, remember that the cold will make your phone battery die a lot faster than warmer temperatures. So be sure that you have an external battery, and keep that external battery, in your pants pocket or somewhere close to you that you're able to keep it warmer so you can plug your phone into it.
Sure. Yeah. And it's always one thing I always learned from back in the old days. I don't do it much anymore, but like I remember putting your phone against your body. Like so if your phone, don't put your phone in your pocket, put your phone like in your pants hip, like so it's up against your skin and or your shirt, because that body warmth really heats it, keeps the phone.
Keeps the battery. So yeah, the lithium ion batteries definitely have issues with too cold of temperatures. They will drain much faster.
But Jesse is absolutely correct on winter caching. Winter snow walking is brutal and so tight. I mean, imagine guys, just next time you're walking, just walk and lift your legs as high as they can go and then put them down and see how long you go before you start huffing and puffing.
And as you're pulling it out, you got all that snow that you're trying to work against.
Anybody who's never walked in snow before, obviously because you live in a warm place, have you ever walked in the water before? Like in water, like 2 feet high.
With a current.
Yeah. And imagine that. And that's kind of what it's like walking in snow. And
you're reminding me of my childhood with Bigfoot snowshoes.
And it's tiring. I mean, you're puffing and puffing, man. Like, it's not fun. I mean, but that's only when it's like a foot or two, like it's 6 inches really isn't that bad,
Yeah. But get some snowshoes. If you are going to be out, doing any sort of hiking in the snow, definitely invest in some snowshoes. They're awesome.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. We have snowshoes.
Absolutely.
Winterizing maintenance, kids. Let's move on to winterizing maintenance. Jesse's got nothing.
I think I missed that question when I was going through my notes.
Okay. Chad, then why don't you start there about that?
So I'd say for around here, making sure that it is well watertight would be the main winterizing need, because this is the only time of year that it rains, and it rains a lot during the winter here.
Really?
Yep.
You poor thing.
Yeah.
Is it what, like rain in 70s? You poor thing.
Well, 50s.
Oh, poor baby. Tear right there. Tear. Okay, for Chicago, the Midwest, where it actually, snows and stuff. Guys, when you have a cache and you have snow, things are going to get wet. Things are going to get frozen. It's going to happen. Um, your pens can freeze. That happens a lot. I see that all the time. That's why pencils are always the better option if you're going to put something in a cache, because pens do freeze, believe it or not. Containers are going to become brittle if you have what Chad mentioned, well, not a hefty one. Are they the hefty ones?
Gladware.
The Gladware, thank you, like the Gladware ones, or the old the containers that your ham came in. I've seen those a lot. Those kind of things. Your food came in. Those aren't going to last very long, especially in Chicago.
No.
Those will last maybe a winter if you're lucky. And then when you have metal lids can stick. Metal lids can freeze. So those are always very difficult as well. So all these things are taken into consideration when you are winter caching, and when you are placing a cache that has a metal lid or is a glad container or whatnot, where you put that, and putting in pencils instead of pens into your cache, and make sure you have bags in your larger caches, in your regulars, so you can put your logs in those in case they're not waterproof. Jesse, do you have anything else to add to the winterizing?
As far as the maintenance goes, I mean, if you can get out before winter and make sure that your containers are not leaking, put in some new logs, that's great. And I think also just as important, if not more important, make sure that you get out and do maintenance in the spring. Clean out those containers that may have gotten wet over the winter. Throw in some new logs. Throw away any swag that's gotten ruined, etc.
Yeah. Nothing is worse than gross swag. There's nothing sadder than that.
Oh,
it stinks.
Yeah, I have literally taken other people's swag that was. It just got too nasty in there. It's like, look, nobody's going to pick this up, and it's just going to make this container stay gross. Take it out and throw it away. Sorry.
I know, it's always so sad when you literally like, oh, it's like they got something like this. Oh, it's just so gross. Stuff turns to like paste and just yeah. What changes do you make to your backpack, to your car, etc. when the seasons change, especially when the big W, the big winter comes along? One of my main things, rubber mallet to my car. Don't hit my car with it. I add it to the trunk of my car. Reasoning being that it is good for a frozen LPC. The rubber mallet is king. When it comes to a frozen LPC. Guys, invest in an $8 rubber mallet if you live in the winter, in a cold state. You will thank me many times over. Chad, what about you?
Snow chain. So if I'm heading up into the mountains, even if the roads are currently clear, I always got my snow chains. Actually, at the beginning of the winter, I take my snow chains, throw it in the back of the SUV. That way they're with me and I don't have to think about them.
I've never used snow chains. How do you put those on?
Carefully. You're usually putting them on in a couple inches of snow with it freezing cold and cars whizzing by. So you put them on carefully. There's a couple different styles. There's kind of like you lay them out in like a track in front of it and you drive the car front wheels over it if you're in front wheel drive. And then you kind of pull it up and there's a couple linkages on there and you can tighten them up.
Like you dress the type.
But the cable type that I got is pretty simple. It's like you kind of lay it around there, you hook on the back side, you cinch it up, you hook it on the front side, and then you got this cinching stretchable material that you kind of hook each of them on there, kind of like a trampoline. You know how the trampoline has the springs that pull everything together? Well, you kind of have that kind of a mesh thing in the middle that just pulls everything tight and stays on pretty well. So that's the cable kind that I personally like the best. And I can get them on in a, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes.
Did you use those when you lived in Indiana? or was it just like
No.
I've never Midwest people usually don't use snow chains.
No, I've only used those in the mountains.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So, and it's required either those or studded snow tires with 4x4s are required when they're in a snow chain required time.
Mhm.
So it depends on how much snow and ice is on the roads on the mountainous areas when they're required. We even have special maps for it.
Oh. Mr. Brown, what do you do?
I mean, for me, like, let's see, in the car. Okay, here are my notes. I always have a blanket in the car because I'm always cold, even in the summer. I always have a blanket. In the winter, though, I will add some water and some extra snacks just in case, and an extra blanket.
To the car.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have 2 blankets in the car right now.
You have 2 blankets in the car?
I do.
One of the thing I do is I add extra gloves to my car. I have a pair of winter gloves, and I have a winter hat that I always carry in the wintertime. It's in my console, like in my center console. I just throw it in there just in case. You know, I always carry a pair of gloves in my caching bag, and that is like that could be used in winter. That they don't have to be. I can use them for anything, but I have used them in winter many times.
Yeah, I've got I use my pseudo gloves for both cold weather and doing pseudos.
Yes.
I throw an extra pair of like my old boots, not my everyday hiking. I mean, not my everyday winter boots, but my older boots. I just throw in the trunk of my car. You never know when you might need them.
Would you throw your rain boots in there too?
I do always have my rain boots in there too, as well.
Jesse's the one that goes into the icky stuff when because I can't fit in her. She's got those really tall girl rain boots, you know, that like go up to like your knees, you know, like you know what I'm talking about? Those like really tall ones.
Nothing that goes up to my knees fits me because yeah.
So she looks like a cowboy when she puts them on because she has to put them on over her jeans or whatever. So she's like looks like a cowboy walking in there.
Yeah, and then I get nominated to go into the sewers and the streams and the swamp and wherever else I need to go wearing my rubber boots.
God bless the rubber boots, man.
That's
rubber
right.
Boots. So yeah, so extra gloves is to me very important. That I always keep in my car. Chad, what about you?
For me, it's really kind of checking that gear because I always had the blanket, the ice scraper, gloves, etc. In the kind of bottom area of my SUV, but it's been heat cycled all summer long, so those things deteriorate. So I will pull them out at the beginning of winter and make sure that they're still in good condition because those things will deteriorate over time.
You know, I'm sorry, Jesse, anything else for you?
I actually last winter, I think it was just last winter, I actually wrote an article on my blog about 7 must-haves for winter caching.
Oh, there you go.
And so those 7 things, I'll give you the short version. A rubber mallet, like you mentioned. We each have one. I always have it in the trunk of my car. A collapsible shovel, because sometimes you might need to dig out
one of my car for
something.
years. I think did mine break? Did mine finally break? I think Geocaching Day a couple years ago finally broke it.
I think it finally broke it, or you could still use it, but you couldn't refold it. I think was what it was.
Those old army style.
Yes, exactly. Yes, it was.
Yep, that's exactly it. And they fold up and they go into a little pouch, maybe 8 inches by 8 inches.
I think it was literally a Christmas present from Jesse. I think it was in my stocking.
I think you're right.
It was fantastic.
I used to give you great gifts.
Fantastic gifts. Yes.
Moving on the list here. Good winter boots, I've already said. Snowshoes, we've talked a little bit about those. Smartphone gloves, because you can have a pair of gloves in your car, but if you need to actually use your phone or anything that uses a touch screen, make sure that your gloves are compatible. And you can actually turn any pair of gloves into smartphone gloves. I have some thread that is conductive, and you just sew like a little patch right on the end of your finger, and then you can use
I was thinking you were going to say cut a little hole out.
That works too, but it sort of defeats the purpose.
I guess you could do that, yes.
Yeah. A warm coat or a vest. I actually have a really nice down vest that I wear under my coat. And then if, once I get moving, I get warm, I can take off my coat and just wear the vest, or take off my vest and just wear the coat. And the down is compressible, so I can fold it up real small, fit it in a pouch, and throw it in my pack. So that's convenient. And then the last thing on the list is traction cleats, or like yak tracks that you would slip on over your boots, and they have little spikes on the bottom and helps with the ice.
We have those too.
Yep, we have those. You can get, I think you can get those at like Five Below or somewhere. That you don't have to go out and get anything fancy. And those are great to just throw in your car, even if you're not caching, walking through the icy parking lot trying to get into work, whatever.
Thank you, Jesse. So
sure.
while we got a few minutes left, let's talk about, Chad, do you have any really, really good winter caching stories?
Not really, because I don't do a lot of winter caching.
Yes, Jesse.
I do have one more thing that I throw in my pack in the winter. I don't generally carry it with me, but as soon as it starts to get cold and there's a possibility we might be doing any sort of ice walking, I throw a solar blanket and a rope in my pack. I have like a 10 or 15 foot rope. You never know. I've never had to use it, knock on wood. But
so you never tied me up with the rope, with the solar powered rope?
Not while caching.
Jesse Brown. Chad, so you have no experiences. Chad, have you ever cached in the snow?
I have a couple times, like in Indiana, back home during the holidays, and when running up to South Lake Tahoe area for skiing, taking my son snowboarding. Just like small parking grabs, grabbing it, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, not really anything with snow.
Nothing with snow. What about you, Jesse Brown? Do you have any your favorite winter caching story?
I have so many winter caching stories. Oh my goodness, it was the Skokie Lagoons. Going out, hitting the islands, walking across, even Bussy Lake, walking out to the islands. Yeah, so many. I mean, it is. There's just something different about caching when you're in the snow, you're walking on ice. It's almost magical. Like, you shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
Yet you do. And yeah, it's just one of those things. Listeners, if you were in an area where the lakes don't freeze and you've never, cached in the snow, go on vacation and go and do that. Come here.
Why would somebody go on vacation to snow?
Well, I don't know. We went to Minnesota for spring break last year. Everybody does silly things once in a while. Come to Chicago. We'll take you out. There's something magical about it. It's
fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I used, growing up in Indiana, hiking through the woods during the winter, walking out on the lakes. I've had all that experience, and I can see how I can make finding some of those caches underneath the snow a living hell.
I will say.
Go ahead, babe.
Go ahead. I was going to say, if you are going to walk out on the ice, though, be safe about it. Check your local, forest preserve sites or your DNR sites. They will tell you how deep the ice is on all of the lakes, and check and make sure that there are ice fishers out there. Like, I won't walk out on a lake unless I see that there are ice fishers out there. I know that it's safe. And you can see on the water what parts are better to walk on than others.
Yeah, when you see a truck in the water, you know you're good. Like, I've seen a truck, like a a 4-wheeler, not a 4.
Oh, yeah.
A 4x4, and you're like, okay,
Mhm.
it's pretty. Simple.
Yeah. Don't just walk out on anything frozen.
You know, one of my favorite stories I love to tell happened years ago, before Jesse. I was caching with Wheels 00, a good friend of the show, Brett. We've had him on a bunch of times, and we decided to go hit the lakefront of Chicago, which is basically Lake Michigan. And it was, gosh, January, February, brutal cold day, 0 degrees if not lower, and we're caching, and we get out the car because we're walking down this path, and unfortunately I don't think he's in the chat room. I would tell him to call him because he tells the story way better than I do, but and so we're walking down this path, and you've got, for anyone who's never been to Chicago, it's not called the Windy City because the wind, believe it or not, everybody thinks that, but that's not why it's called. But it is extremely windy by the lakefront, by Lake Michigan. It's really windy, and and there's something, the wind comes off the lake, and it's colder by the lake. So our news will say it's 80 degrees, 75 by the lake. What that that means, where we are, it's 80, but it's colder by the lake. And so because it's colder by the lake, there's more snow, there's a whole lake effect deal with it and all that. And so me and Brett are caching, we're going down this path, and we are freezing cold. I don't know what we're thinking. And we get behind, and the waves, it's so windy that the waves are crashing up on the shore of Lake Michigan, and they are hitting the trees, and the water is freezing to the trees almost immediately. And so the icicles are going sideways on the trees. Beautiful, amazing. One of the most things I've ever seen. And so we see the cache, it's hanging in a tree. And me and Brett are literally, there's this huge rock bigger than both of us. And we got our backs up against the rock so the wind's not hitting us. And we're fighting over who's going to go get the cache in the tree. Because I don't want to go get it, and he don't want to go get it, because we see it, but A, it's cold, B, it's wet, and C, there's water hitting the tree. And so we're sitting there arguing who's going to go get this cache, and we're both freezing our asses off, excuse my language. And instead of just going, we argued for like 10 minutes about who's going to go get the cache, because neither of us wanted to go get it. We were just warm behind this rock, and we didn't want to move behind the rock. I think eventually we both decided we both go get it. But it's just one of the most, it was a really fun day, and B, it was one of the most amazing things. You usually don't see icicles sideways,
right,
and just going like whoosh. It was pretty amazing. But that's just one day I will never forget, winter caching on the lakefront, which I don't know what I was thinking doing that. But that was a fun. Anything else, Jesse Brown?
No, just go out and do it. I mean, just because it's winter does not mean that you need to stop caching. Just cache differently. That's it.
Yeah, obviously, winter caching it just changes the game a little bit. That's all it does. And I've spoken about this many times on this podcast. It doesn't. Yeah, we don't stop caching in the winter. It just changes the game a little bit. And there's a lot of caches we go for. Jesse and I'll go for, and we'll look around and be like, spring. We'll come back in spring. It's like, it's not worth the look. Because we know we're never going to find it.
Right.
And so
or the opposite. There's caches that were like, we'll come back in the winter.
Back in the winter, absolutely. Or there's caches. Sometimes you can't find one in the tree. I'm like, I'll come back in the fall when there's no leaves on the tree. Or I don't have a kayak, so I'll wait till winter and I'll go walk to that. I'll walk to that peninsula, or I'll walk to that island. It's stuff like that. That it is. Fortunately, I won't say unfortunately, because fortunately we live in a state. Although Jesse would probably fight me on this, where we do see the seasons change and it does get colder. Jesse hates it. Jesse can't wait to get out of here. I know that she complains about it every day, the weather in Chicago. But it is nice that we get to see winter and see spring and see fall and all that. And you get to experience, when you're a geocacher, you get to experience caching in all these different kind of seasons. And it's a pretty fun thing to do. I never get pissed because winter's coming. To me, it just changes the game a little bit. That's all it is. And it's nice to change the game for a couple of months. Why not? It makes summer caching so much more fun. When you could just oh look, I could wear shorts and a t-shirt and go do park and grabs. So Jed, anything else to add to this?
Nope, not this time.
No, Jesse Brown. Anything else to add?
I got nothing.
You got nothing else. All right, then. Guys, thanks so much for listening. Next week's show, guys, we are going to have a spectacular show. No, scratch that. We are going to have a spectacular show. Trust me, guys, it's coming. You're going to love what we got planned. It's not going to be for a couple weeks. We were going to do it next weekend, but then the special guest that was going to be on the show could not make that, so we have to reschedule it for a couple of weeks away. So next week's show, I think we talked about, is going to be about trackables. Correct, Jesse Brown? Since you are pretty much going to be running this and doing the show notes, you tell me what the show is going to be about.
Sure, we'll talk about trackables next week. That'll be fun.
All right. Tell me what we're going to talk about.
We're going to talk about trackables, different types of trackables, trackable etiquette. We can talk about proxies. We can talk about whatever. Listeners, if you have, comments, questions, email them, call into the show.
Yeah, because
all things trackable.
Personal experiences with your trackables.
There you go. That's a good one.
I've been seeing a lot of really awesome stories on Facebook and other social media about trackables mysteriously reappearing after many, many years. I would love to get some of those stories. I want to hear those stories. So
yeah, hey guys, anybody in the chat room or anybody listening to this show, if you are one of those people that your trackable went missing and then suddenly it was found in this, I guess for lack of a better term, cache of trackables, for lack of a better term, give us a call. 808 got swag. We want to hear that story about that, because that's kind of interesting, and that hasn't happened to me. Jesse's waiting to hope for one of hers come out.
I'm so hopeful.
I think I have 3 left. I think I have 30 out there. I think I have 3 left. You know what's going on, guys? Just to get you guys caught up real quick. Oh no, I'll do it next week. I'll do it. Never
next week's show.
No, never mind. That's next week's show. I'll talk about it next week. I'm talking about the cache, the trackable I sent to Mark Dowding in
oh yeah, we'll talk about that next week.
I'll talk about it next week. So yeah, but I have so many trackables that are gone. So if one of those would turn up, that'd be amazing. All right, then that's the show, guys. Thanks for listening, and let me get over here so I can do the closing. And guys, we will talk to you guys next week. Hold on a second. Please join us again next week as we take your calls live every Wednesday night at 8:30 Eastern, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, right here at geocachingpodcast.com/live. The archive video versions of our podcast are available on our website and are on our YouTube channel, and the audio versions are available on most of your favorite podcatchers. If you like the show, please head on over to Apple iTunes and rate, review, and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it, and it really helps the show when you do. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for updates on upcoming shows and general geocaching information. And hey, if you haven't already, please consider becoming a patron of our show. With tiers starting as low as $3, you'll get a ton of additional information, extra videos, extra audio, only available to patron members. Head on over to patreon.com and subscribe. That's patreon.com/the Geocaching Podcast. It really does help the show. We really could use it. Thank you so much to our current subscribers. Thanks once again to our sponsors, Cachly, Logwork, and FTF Geocacher Magazine. Please, if you use these guys, which we recommend you do, please tell them GCPC sent you. We'd really appreciate that. And hey, that's all we got this week. So we'll see you next week, talking geocaching, taking your phone calls. In the meantime, be good, be safe, hug your loved ones, and we will talk to you guys next week. We are clear. Yay, we're clear. Okay.
Yeah, Scott, I think you need to put the phone number on the boom. That's like the perfect amount of space there.
Right there? Should I put the phone number right there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, right there.
You think that'll help? What do you think, chat room? Should I put the right there? In big white letters.
With a round circle that says "Call me" on the circle part.
The phone number right there. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We will talk to you guys next week about trackables, right? Yes, trackables.
Trackables.
All right, guys. We were so prepared for the show coming up. You're gonna love the show coming up in a couple weeks, guys. I promise you. So we will talk to you guys in next week. Okay, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.